So much brisket. Look at this brisket. Look at all of this brisket in my garage, which is basically very cold refrigerator temperature right now. Oh boy. Okay, we're going to be smoking this all up. So let's go make a quick rub and then we can dig into these cryovac packs here. Now, if you're thinking that's a lot of brisket, you're correct. And sad to say, it's not all for me. A couple of friends are getting in on this. Everybody's getting a couple of briskets. This is a great way to fill my massive brick smoker with a bunch of meat, cook it all up at the same time, really using about the same amount of fuel, and filling everybody's freezer with brisket, portioning it out afterwards, freezing it. I love to reheat it via sous vide. So anyway, let's get the rub going here. 1 cup of just regular paprika, 1/3 cup ground black pepper, 1/2 cup of kosher salt, 1/2 cup of this like sugar in the raw or turbinado kind of style sugar there, 1/4 cup of just a regular chili powder, nothing too spicy or hot, 1/4 cup of garlic powder, 1/4 cup of onion powder, and 1/4 cup of mustard powder. Let's mix. I like mixing this in a clear bowl because you can look at the bottom and see if you've got everything off the bottom and nicely mixed up, letting you know when your job is done. Good to go. Let's get the meat. Here we are. Let's slice in. Just like that. Get this off. Pull out the brisket. There's definitely some meat juice in here. I'm going to mop up. First, I'm just going to quickly set this in a meat tub. And set this one aside. In a different meat tub, you can never have too many meat tubs. So I'm going to just pat it off a little bit. If nothing else, that will make it a little bit less messy and sloppy when I go to throw the rub on. Just a little bit more. And now I'm going to just see if I need to do a little bit of trimming, which I do need to. I can see right here I've got some of this kind of stringy, weird fat. I don't want any of that on there. I'm sure that would break down and whatnot, but what's the point of it's just weird and gross. Okay. Other than that, this bottom side is not too bad. Kind of a thicker piece of fat in along here. I'm just going to shave some of this off until it seems a little more reasonable. Again, most of this fat will melt, and I got to get a wet towel underneath this cutting board here to give it a little bit more stability. This will all kind of melt off a little bit, but I don't want to risk having kind of a big fat, weird nug of fat in there. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to get this into a tub here and get some of that rub on it. So that's great. Now just going to sprinkle on a generous serving of this rub. I'm planning on using up everything that I've done here. Having cooked this quantity of briskets before, I know that this is pretty close to the amount of seasoning I'll need, so I'm not worried about getting my hands into the actual container and whatnot. I won't be trying to save any of this for another project. I like using the meat tub for this because it's a great way to get this. This brisket's almost a little too large for this meat tub, but it's a good way to get this spice rub on here without making a huge mess all over the counter. All right. There we go. Perfect. All right, now just got to repeat this times 6 here. Once I have every last little nook and cranny. So yeah, 5 more to go. So I wound up making a second batch of equal size of that rub, which was just enough to go ahead and coat all 6 of these briskets here with just a really nice, generous portion. I'm going to let them sit overnight here, just covered up with some plastic wrap so they don't dry out, and that'll really let that rub flavoring kind of get into the meat, and we'll fire up the smoker nice and early in the morning. Bright and early, we are sparking up the charcoal here. I'm gonna get these briskets cooking. A couple hours into the smoke here. Whew. It smells so good out here. Can't wait for this meat to really start heating up. We're just over 5.5 hours in, and I'm gonna give this a spray down with what I've nicknamed J Spray, which is just a really nice blend here. It's 5 parts of a really nice maple syrup, 4 parts of bourbon, and 1 part of soy sauce. I think it's a nice little umami characteristic. And you got the sweetness, and you got that vanilla character from the bourbon, and the booze, and the oakiness. Just delightful. So I'm spraying this down here just to help keep things a little bit more moist. And we'll let it sit here for a little bit. I'll give it another spray here in maybe an hour, and then sometime after that we'll probably look at wrapping this up a little bit with some foil just to retain moisture that we've got. Oh man, we're about 8 hours in here, and we're gonna go ahead and foil wrap these bad boys here, and just take a little bit of that J Spray basey sauce there and kind of spray a little bit on just for a little added moisture. So we're all foil wrapped. We got some thermometers in here, and gonna let this keep cooking. Time for some more fuel. So some of these have hit 195, so I'm going to start to pull them off here and let them continue to rise in temperature. All right, so after I pulled these all last night, and some of these went as long as almost 20 hours, a couple of the really big ones there, in the smoker, I threw them back in the garage because, again, it was great refrigerator temperature overnight. And so I don't get the nice glorious shot yet of slicing into hot beef. That'll come later. But for now, I'm going to be portioning these out so that we can go ahead and vacuum seal and freeze for dinners down the road. This is a great way to be able to have, oh, hold on a second, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, absolutely amazing. A really great way to have brisket sort of any time of the year, even on a weekday when you've been busy and haven't had time to be running a smoker all day long. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just portion these all up here and get them vacuum sealed. So this is the day after packaging. This is one of several packages that we made up. The rest of them are in the freezer, but we're going to have this one for dinner tonight. I'm actually reheating this using the precision cooker. I like 150 Fahrenheit, and this piece is going to be in here for an hour or two by the time we actually get to it and slice it up. This is a super solid way to reheat brisket like this because you're not going to dry out the meat. It can just sit there, steep in its own juices, and get up to serving temperature. Out. Woo! And there we are, all plated up, served with some amazing potatoes Romanov and some sauteed carrots, nicely caramelized. This is absolutely freaking awesome. So super happy that I put in that time and that effort there with that brisket. I'm going to go back upstairs and devour this before all the slices are gone. So till next time, keep her at 11.